My MIL sent me a book called How to Be a Better Wife for my anniversary. When I showed it to my husband, he said, she probably meant well. So I highlighted a chapter, mailed it back to her, and left a note that read, "Return to sender, the person who actually needs it." The next week, he called her and said, "Until you respect my marriage, you're not part of it." I watched him do it, and still walked away. I'm 38. Been married for 7 years. No kids, by choice. We live in Savannah, Georgia. My husband, Daniel, is 41. Steady job. Pays the bills. Never been a cheater, never been abusive. But the one thing he's always done? Keep his mouth shut when his mom treats me like garbage. From the start, Ruth didn't like me. She was one of those Southern women who hides insults and compliments. Always dressed nice. Hair curled. Soft-spoken, but sharp underneath. She wanted Daniel to marry a woman who ironed tablecloths and wore pearls to dinner. I was not that woman. I met her 6 months into dating Daniel. First time I walked into her house, she looked me up and down like I was a weed growing in her rose garden. She offered me sweet tea and said, "Well, aren't you? Casual." I was wearing jeans. We never really recovered from that moment. But I tried. I really did. I helped her cook for Christmas, even though she criticized everything I touched. I showed up early to family events. I bought her birthday gifts. Every time she made a passive-aggressive comment, Daniel would squeeze my hand and later say, "That's just how she is." After we got married, it got worse. She once pulled me aside at Thanksgiving and said, "You don't have to work, you know. Some men prefer a quiet home." I was working full-time as a nurse then. I was also cooking half the meals, doing most of the laundry, and trying to keep my sanity. I told Daniel about it. He said, "She means well." That was always his line. She means well. So I stopped bringing it up. But I never forgot how small she made me feel. Like I wasn't enough. Like I didn't fit. Now fast forward to our anniversary. 7 years married. We didn't do anything big. Just dinner downtown, wine, and a walk by the river. It was a good night. We laughed. For a minute, I thought we were okay. The next morning, I found a small box on the porch. No return address, but I knew that handwriting. Cursive. Controlled. Ruth. I opened it and just stared. A book. Hardcover. Brand new. How to Be a Better Wife. Rediscovering Femininity in a Modern Marriage. No card. No message. Just that title staring back at me like a punch in the gut. I flipped through it. It was everything you'd think. Pages about how men are natural leaders. Chapters on how a woman should focus on her husband's needs. Lines like, "Don't bring him problems, bring him peace." I felt something in my stomach twist. Not anger. Not even hurt. Just that slow, heavy feeling you get when you realize someone's been disrespecting you in plain sight, and no one ever stood up for you. I walked into the living room. Daniel was on the couch with his phone. I handed him the book and said, "Look what your mom sent." He read the cover, raised his eyebrows, and said, "She probably meant well." That's when I knew I was done. I didn't yell, didn't cry, just nodded and walked out of the room. I sat at the kitchen table with a highlighter and marked an entire chapter called Submission as a Gift. Page after page, highlighted in neon yellow. Every line that pissed me off. Then I wrote a note on a sticky pad, "Return to sender, the person who actually needs it." I put the book back in the box, taped it up, and dropped it off at the post office on my way to work. I didn't say anything to Daniel for 2 days. Just quiet. Routine. But inside me, something had snapped. A wire that had been holding everything together finally popped. He noticed. Asked if I was mad. I said, "Not mad. Just tired." He asked what I wanted him to do. I said nothing. I already did what I needed to do. A week later, I came home early and heard him on the phone. His office door was cracked. He didn't know I was listening. He said, "Mom, enough. You don't get to treat her like that and call it love. You've disrespected her for years, and I've let it happen. That's on me. But not anymore. Until you respect my marriage, you're not part of it. I leaned against the wall and let that sink in. The words I'd been begging him to say for years. He finally said them. He came out of the office like he expected me to run into his arms. I could see it in his face, proud of himself. Like he'd fixed everything. I looked at him and felt nothing. You should have said that years ago, I told him. When she told me I wasn't good enough. When I sat in the car crying after she humiliated me in front of your cousins. You were there. You didn't say a word. He looked like I'd slapped him. I've been standing alone this whole time, I said. You finally stood up. Good. But now it's too late. That night, I packed a bag. No yelling. No scene. I just left. I didn't go far. I stayed at a friend's place, Sarah. She was divorced and had a spare room. No questions, just you need a key? That's why I called her. Daniel texted that night. Just one message. Where are you? I ignored it. The next day, he called. I let it ring. He called again, then again. Finally, I picked up on the fourth try. I just want to talk, he said. His voice was quiet. Tired. You said everything already, I told him. I don't understand, he said. I stood up to her. I told her off. Isn't that what you wanted? No, I said. What I wanted was for you to see me. Not just defend me when it became unbearable. I wanted a partner, not a referee who only blows the whistle after the game's over. He was silent for a second. Then he asked, Are you saying this is over? I don't know, I said, and I meant it. But I'm saying I'm not coming home right now. He showed up at Sarah's apartment 2 days later. I came back from work and found him sitting on the steps. He looked like he hadn't slept. Hair messy, shirt wrinkled. I just want 5 minutes, he said. I sat on the step across from him. He looked around like he didn't know where to start. I talked to my sister, he said. Told her everything. She told me Mom's been doing this to people her whole life. Controlling them. Making them feel small. I didn't see it. That's the problem, I said. You didn't want to. He nodded. Didn't argue. Then he pulled something out of his pocket. A letter. Handwritten. I didn't touch it. It's from her, he said. She wants to apologize. I laughed. I actually laughed. An apology? No. He put the letter on the step between us and said, She says she's sorry for crossing a line. That she didn't know she made you feel unwelcome. That she's willing to go to counseling. Counseling? I raised an eyebrow. With who? A priest from 1950? He didn't smile. Just looked tired. I know it doesn't fix anything, he said. But I'm trying. I stared at the letter. I didn't pick it up. You waited 7 years, I said. You waited until I was halfway out the door. If I hadn't mailed that book back, would you have ever said anything? He didn't answer. I stood up. You're not a bad man, Daniel. But you let someone else be cruel on your behalf. That's just as bad. As I turned to go upstairs, he said, Do you love me? That stopped me. I didn't turn around. I just said I did. I don't know if I still do. That night, I read the letter. It wasn't bad. She wrote it in neat script, like always. Apologies. Excuses. Words like misunderstood, intention, old-fashioned. Nothing about accountability. Nothing real. I never wrote back. A few weeks passed. Sarah and I got into a rhythm. Work, food, sleep, peace. Then one night, Sarah handed me her phone. It was a post on Facebook. Ruth. A long post about losing a daughter-in-law to pride. About how some women can't handle a strong mother-in-law. She tagged Daniel. My blood boiled. I called him. He picked up on the first ring. You saw the post? I said. I told her to take it down, he said. She won't. So now what? I asked. He was quiet. Then he said, I'm done. With what? With her. He sent me a screenshot. He had blocked her on everything. phone, social media. He even sent her an email that said, "You chose public drama over private growth. Don't contact me again." I was shocked. I didn't expect him to do that. Not ever. He texted later that night, "I don't know if I can fix us, but I'm not letting her destroy any more of my life." I stared at the message for a long time. A week after he blocked her, Ruth showed up at my job. I work at a mid-size hospital just outside Savannah. I was 2 hours into my shift when one of the front desk clerks buzzed the nurse's station. "There's a Ruth Daniels here asking for you," she said, her voice low, cautious. My heart dropped. I told them to tell her I wasn't available. But 5 minutes later, she was in the hallway. She must have talked her way in, smiling, polite, pretending like she belonged. I stopped mid-step when I saw her. Pearls, pressed blouse, heels. Like she was visiting church, not crashing my workplace. "Emily," she said. Her voice soft, sweet. "My name's not Emily," I said. "And you need to leave." "I just want to talk," she said, stepping forward. I put my hand up. "You think showing up here is going to change anything?" She looked around, flustered. "I made a mistake. But airing it on Facebook, maybe that was too much." I was upset. "You embarrassed me for years," I snapped. "Now you're embarrassed? Good." Her lips tightened. "You think you're better than me, don't you?" I almost laughed. "No. I think I'm just done letting you treat me like trash wrapped in a bow." Security came then. Someone must have called them. She didn't fight it. Just turned and walked off, heels clicking like it was a damn runway. Daniel called that night. "She came to your work?" "Yeah," I said. "Next time she does, I'm filing a report." He didn't argue. He just said, "I'll handle it." The next day, Ruth was back on Facebook. This time, her post was a full-on smear campaign. She said I had poisoned her son, that I was manipulating him, and that I always wanted to tear the family apart. She tagged his cousins, her church friends, even posted photos from our wedding with captions like, "If only we knew then." I stayed quiet. Daniel didn't. He wrote a post of his own. Not long. Just one paragraph. "My mother has decided to turn our private struggles into public shame. Let me be clear, I stand with my wife. Her boundaries are valid. Her pain is real. If you continue to engage with my mother's posts, you are enabling abuse. And I want no part of it." It went viral, at least in our little town. Comments flooded in. People pick sides. One of his cousins messaged me privately and said, "She did the same thing to my wife 5 years ago. You're not the first." That broke something in me. I'd thought I was alone. Turns out Ruth had been running this same playbook on everyone who dared to marry into her family. But now it was public. People started unfollowing her. Some called her out. The church she went to? They asked her to step down from organizing the women's retreat. I heard from Sarah's neighbor that Ruth was furious. Said I ruined her name. I didn't say a word. Meanwhile, Daniel started therapy. Alone. Not couples counseling. Just him, trying to unpack 7 years of letting his mother's voice be louder than his own. He invited me once. Said, "You don't have to talk. Just come sit in the room." I went. I sat there, arms crossed, listening to him tell a stranger that he had learned silence as safety growing up. That Ruth only loved him when he did what she wanted. He cried. First time I'd seen him cry in years. That night, he didn't ask me to come home. He just said, "Whatever you decide, I'll live with it." And for the first time, I believed him. 3 months passed. Daniel kept going to therapy. I kept staying at Sarah's. Life went on. Quiet, steady. But I couldn't ignore what was still sitting heavy on my chest, the truth that I had let too much slide, too. Not just Daniel. I'd swallowed too many apologies that never came. I kept peace when I should have raised hell. I smiled through dinners where I should have walked out. I stayed quiet so long, I forgot what standing up felt like until it was too late. And when I finally did stand up, it was with a petty note and a highlighter. That truth hurt. I started going to therapy too. Separately. Different place. I told my therapist the whole story, and she asked me a simple question that turned me inside out. Do you want revenge, or do you want peace? For weeks, I didn't know the answer. Until one day I got a package in the mail. No return address. But I knew. Same neat handwriting. Inside? A framed photo of Daniel and me from our wedding. And behind it, a handwritten note taped to the back. Hope you come to your senses. There's still time to fix this. That was it. No apology. No regret. Just another dig. That's when I made the decision. Not out of rage. Out of clarity. I took the photo, wrote my own note, and mailed it back. The frame's yours. The man's not. Then I posted my own message. Not online. Not for strangers. But in an email. Sent to every single member of Daniel's extended family. I laid it out. 7 years of comments. Quotes from her messages. Screenshots of her Facebook posts. A timeline. Her showing up at my work. Her backhanded letters. And then I ended it like this. I want nothing from Ruth. Not her apology. Not her approval. Not her silence. I want freedom from her poison. And I want all of you to know exactly what she is before you nod along at the next dinner table. It was nuclear. Half the family never responded. But the other half? Messages rolled in. Women thanking me. Men saying they were sorry for not speaking up. One of her nieces told me she'd gone no contact years ago. The final blow? Her church asked her to leave the organizing board permanently. They didn't want her representing them anymore. And Daniel? He emailed me a week later. Simple. Just one line. You did what I never could. Then he said something I didn't expect. I'm filing for divorce. Not because I've stopped loving you, but because I don't deserve you to come back to this mess. I want you to be free. It hurt, but it was right. We met one last time. Signed the papers. Quiet, heavy moment. We hugged. Cried. Let go. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was honest. Ruth lost her son. Her control. Her image. I lost a marriage. But I found my voice. And next time someone sends me a book about how to be a better wife, I'll send one back titled, How to Stop Raising Grown Boys Who Can't Stand Up to Their Mothers, with the dedication, for Ruth. And I won't highlight a damn thing. I'll let the whole book speak for itself.